Hello, my name's Anthony Spiteri, and I'm a senior global technologist at Veeam Software. And I'm here today with Stephen Roden, CEO of StoragePipe. So, welcome to this. I guess we're calling this like a partner chat, aren't we, Stephen?
Yeah, that's great, Anthony. Nice to see you again. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Excellent. So, yeah, I guess, what we wanted to do here was just, I guess, have a little bit of, I guess we can call it a fireside chat as well. That's the big thing today. We really wanted just to touch on a little bit from the point of view of where StoragePipe has been on this sort of journey that we've been on in the past, 18 months. We didn't think it would be this long, right? But we want to talk about industry trends in the hosting and storage and the cloud and service provider world. Maybe give a bit of insight into how, StoragePipe are doing. And then, myself, I think, just talk a little bit about what we're seeing from a Veeam perspective in the market and how our service providers are meeting the challenges. So, Stephen, maybe, just talk a little bit about, what it's been like in the past 12 months for you.
Yeah, sure, Anthony. It's been certainly been a challenging, 18 months, the last year, certainly for everybody. I'm really happy that we've seen growth, especially with our Veeam business and working with you, and really excited for the future. Even with the challenges that have gone on, I think we've actually been able to, take advantage of some of the things that have happened in terms of giving us opportunities to stretch ourselves, to re-engage with customers, and do a lot of interesting new things during the pandemic, and do more things like automation and really take advantage of that. I'm certainly curious as well. I know you're talking to customers all the time. You're talking to partners all the time of Veeam. I'd really be interested in seeing, what you're seeing. What are the important trends you're seeing, and as in the market, and also as it came out of the pandemic, what you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been obviously interesting. I've been through two of these situations now in my particular career, as I'm sure you have. I remember the GFC, which obviously was very different to what we're seeing today. But in terms of service providers, when there seemed to be some sort of shock to the world, that was all about economic crisis back in the 2008. I worked for a service provider that was offering hosted services. And we boomed during that time, right? So certainly I can parallel that to what I've seen back in 2008 versus what we're seeing today. Again, different circumstance, but this whole, reshuffle of what it is to work, some slight economic pressures on businesses has meant that, customers, partners, enterprises, you name it, have had to think differently about their IT. They've had to think about consuming things differently. One of the big things that I've always found in these sort of situations is that, capital expense shifts dramatically to operational expense. And I think when you think about where we've come from in the past 10 years, with the move from on-premises service virtualization, modern data platforms, software as a service, infrastructure as a service, just general cloud adoption, it's been almost this Goldilocks situation where the time is just right for businesses to move more in to their transformational journey, which means that companies like you guys can actually start to benefit from that. So, I think that's tremendously what I'm seeing. Number one. Number two, I think just the ability to understand that data is even more critical than what it was before. And that data is more under threat than what it was before. So data is lifeblood. Guys like StoragePipe yourselves, you're kind of given the incumbency to look after your customers' data, which is critical. And that data is just under attack by more sophisticated ransomware. And also just from the sheer criticality of that data, I think companies are more in tune, understanding they need to protect their workloads and their data no matter where they are. I don't know if that's what you've seen in your trends, but we've mentioned growth. I just want to flip it back to you. So how have you maintained your growth during the last year and a half of the pandemic, where we've seen some businesses fail, but, storage providers and StoragePipe specifically have not?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I mean, we always talk, when we look at growth, obviously it's customer growth we're looking at. So we look at, really maintaining very strong relationships with our existing customers and building new relationships with our customers and new customers. And one of the big things we talk about in our business is our our pillars of our business, like those are the foundational elements. One of our pillars in our business is responsiveness. And so, we really pride ourselves on very strong responsive, really responsiveness to getting back to our customers, making sure we engage with our partners and our customers very rapidly. And so usually that's like, same business day or within 24 hours is sort of our responsiveness, targets. And so we, continue to push that during the pandemic, even, when people were at home, working from home, working remotely. We still continued to do calls. We did video. And that really helped us because we were seeing other companies, whether it's competitors or other people in the market, they weren't able to turn on a dime to continue that that level of responsiveness in their business, and we really did that. We kept that. In fact, we even put more emphasis on it because of that. And so it really helped us when we saw customers. Customers were taking action. Customers wanted to move forward with their disaster recovery and their cybersecurity decision making. Especially as you mentioned, the rise of ransomware. So there were more people wanting to make decisions more rapidly. They wanted to get to do things even during the pandemic, and they needed a partner that could, action quickly, that could take action, could respond to their needs, could turn around complex solutions rapidly. And so that was really what we were focusing on, is making sure that not just that we had the right solution, but that we were delivering it, quickly and effectively, even from a team of remote people working remotely.
Yeah. And was there any particular service that really boomed during the last 12 to 18 months, or was it across the board?
We've seen really, a few services really boom. We've seen tremendous momentum behind, our Office 365, Microsoft 365 backup solution. That's been a really big product driver from, one of Veeam's key products. And we've seen a lot of growth as a service provider for that. We've also seen that grow because I think there was a recognition that, customers were, at first looking to do that themselves, looking to do it on-prem. We saw more customers moving to really outsource that, moving to a managed service, especially when they were, out of the office, and, not everyone was able to do that at the same time and deal with things. So we saw the growth in managed services in general, and looking to partners who could take things on when when organizations were not all in their offices or able to deal with things. That also gave us growth in things like our even our iSeries and AS400 backup business that we do, because that's a business that had traditionally been on tape, and now no one was in the office to rotate tape. And we've seen that on every kind of traditional kind of tape-based backup systems, but those were really more even laggards than others. And so we've seen that grow as well. We've seen people just move to managed and disk-based and cloud-based backup services because they don't have time and they're not even in the office to manage their on-premise backup solutions or their tape or rotate things.
Yeah,
I would say those have been two key ones. And then I would also highlight actually we took the time during the pandemic to invest in our public cloud services as well.
Okay,
and that's been booming. And so we've seen, the Azure and AWS backup solutions that we launched that as a managed service and as a cloud service just during the pandemic, right in the last year. We've launched that with Veeam's backup for Azure and Veeam's backup for AWS, and we're seeing increasing interest in that. We've launched our customers with that. We've got that running out of multiple data centers now, both in the US and in Canada, and so we're definitely seeing growth in that as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think what you've touched on a couple of key points there. I think the first one is necessity is the mother of invention, right? And in terms of that tape, I mean the physical sense of someone getting to a data center, all of a sudden you couldn't do that. So I mean obviously that kind of changed a little bit when obviously restrictions started to ease up a little bit. But the reality is that change really has drove. Probably I wouldn't say the death of tapes because that's never going to happen, but disk-based backup, cloud-based backup has absolutely come to the fore because of this, and that was just one of the last things to really sort of drive that forward. And then it was interesting that you've mentioned your public cloud backup for Azure and AWS based on the Veeam platform, which we're always expanding. We're looking to cover a workload no matter where it is. And I think that's the key, right? And from our perspective, that platform continues to expand, and we're very proud to be able to give the tool set to our providers to do great things with the technology, right? So you guys build on top of our technologies, you put in your own secret sauce, and you're obviously building some really good services around there. I mean, just on that, I mean, I know that you've been a Veeam Platinum partner for a while, but what are your plans for expansion beyond this? Because obviously, you got to think about what's coming next. So how do you get better? Because being that platinum provider is great, but obviously you still want to be moving on up.
Yeah, no, we're definitely definitely looking to move up and grow. Our expansion has been pretty strong. We've been expanding geographically, so we've been rolling out additional data centers, and so that's been good. We now have data center locations in the United States and in Canada and in the UK, and we're also expanding our partnership program. So we have our own MSP and reseller partners that they work with us as their cloud provider. And so we've been actually expanding that program. We're launching a new partner portal actually right now, this fall, with additional product capabilities and pricing models and that type of thing. So we are definitely doing that. So I guess it's both an expansion from a geographics perspective, from a the breadth of our of how we want to reach our customers and how we want to let our partners reach their customers, provide cloud services. And the other big thing we've done is we've really expanded our product portfolio. We've expanded our managed services, public cloud. We've also been doing work on, for example, migrations and assisting customers with their migration to public cloud and helping them do that, and as well as their cybersecurity needs. So we've really been expanding our product portfolio to really give the breadth to the complete protection that customers are needing, and that we've found to be quite attractive for customers, because as we work with many more mid-sized companies, they have a variety of needs, right? They're not just needing backup and recovery. They need a variety of things. So we've been able to put together more complex, comprehensive solutions for our mid-size and our enterprise customers that we work with, and give them complete coverage.
Yeah, I think you've definitely hit the nail on the head in terms of you understand that applications have changed, where they are, where they live, where they sit. It's not just a case of being on premises or in a cloud somewhere. I mean, they really are portable now, right? So you kind of got to follow that and be nimble enough to do that. And that's the core of innovation, right? So we find that, or I find as well, I love core innovation. I know that a lot of our service providers are innovative. They have that innovative spark. So what's StoragePipe doing to continue to innovate and stay ahead of the market?
Yeah, no, we're definitely innovating in the sense that we also have our own R&D team internally. So that we work with a number of technologies and augment them. So things like we have our own web portal that we've built out and that integrates with the Veeam backup for Microsoft 365. So we give customers extra flexibility to do things like see the status of their jobs, do web-based recoveries. So they can use the Veeam Explorers, but they can also use the web portal to do that. We've also got that integrated with our Cloud Connect, Veeam Cloud Connect systems to update Cloud Connect capabilities. And we're also launching that portal with the public cloud capabilities. So where you can monitor all of the new, the Azure, the AWS backups through the web portal as well. And so, all of that capability and is there in terms of augmenting the Veeam solutions. And then we tie that in also with the Veeam, the VCSP portal. So we've had that for a while, where we keep, keep getting enhanced. So we give more capabilities to partners to do that and to use that to launch their own Veeam services with our infrastructure, and that's been positive. The other thing was we took the opportunity to launch ConnectWise into our organization just a couple of years ago. And so now we've got that integrated as well with our Veeam system. So we've augmented that. We've built in the APIs and connected everything together to give that level of integration, both internally for more. Again, we talk about responsiveness, rapid response, and for issues that come up, but also just to make sure our partners have that level of ability as well. Sophisticated ticketing and monitoring systems that are available to them through us.
You know what's really great? What I'm hearing is that you guys have decided to, almost go all in, right? Like you're using a lot of that platform, a lot of the different pieces, a lot of that tooling that we give, a lot of the features, the enhancements, but particular products as well. But what's really music to my ears is that from an innovation point of view, you tie this all in with automation, and it sounds like that's a big play for you. Also, that is what allows you to scale. Automation breeds scalability, and you guys can work through your partners and your resellers to do that. So, a question with that, no, but what is that a key part of your focus as well? And how do you stay on top of that? Because, getting the automation right sometimes can be tricky.
You're absolutely right, and it is a key part. I mean, we talk about I was talking about some of our pillars. Automation is another one of those things that we really focus on a lot internally, because we're growing, but people, it's difficult to find quality people, and so in this environment, and so we keep adding people to our organization, but we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to be as efficient as possible. So we want to automate away any kind of manual things that people don't need to do, or so we can really make sure that people are taking advantage of what they inherently bring, their skills and their expertise, instead of just doing things like manual monitoring or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've really moved to a lot of automation through our platforms, through our own R&D, and we've continued to do that, and to automate whatever we can. Frankly, we really try to move the needle on that and make sure that we've automated as many things as possible either through our own tools or through third-party tools. That also ties in with the idea that we're integrating in things that we said we were all in on the Veeam platform, and we are. We've really used all the different Veeam components, and at the same time we've integrated, like I said, our own R&D into that. So things like I mentioned earlier, our iSeries backup and recovery for the IBM I platform.
Yeah.
That's something that we developed. We had our own R&D team that built that years ago. We continue to enhance that, and we now have it integrated with our automation ticketing. So we find customers that sometimes have that platform. They want to do the iSeries. They come to us for the iSeries, but then they also want to do all their Intel, their Linux, their public cloud. And so we can give them the complete breadth of all the protections for all the different platforms, including some of their legacy platforms. And that's really critical as well to our success with some of the more enterprise customers that still have a lot of legacy platforms still around.
Yeah, I think that's really going to bode well for you guys in the future. With as Veeam continues to enhance, the platform continues to enhance on the features within that particular product set. We've been so focused on improving our APIs, our automation tooling for our providers, and also the features that are going into every bit of our product with service providers in mind. So you guys are so well set with that. It's great. And I think, from what I read, you guys won the Veeam Rising Star VSP in 2019. You were Veeam Growth Partner of the Year in 2020. So partners typically don't win back-to-back awards. So this obviously shines through that you guys have been an incredible partner for Veeam. So what are you doing to make sure that you can continue that trend, to meet the demand and stay on top in that sort of, in that sort of partner game?
Yeah, well, we've been, we've been certainly thankful. Some of that comes from Veeam itself. We've had a great relationship. Veeam produces, excellent product, and has been working a lot with partners. So we've seen a lot of growth come through, that relationship, and being able to, leverage the great technology and in the market and the marketing and the sales capabilities that Veeam brings to bear, that we can leverage as part of our business planning that we do with Veeam on a regular basis. We've seen as well increasing demand for sure for larger and more complex products and projects really that we've been delivering. So as we look at that, our growth is continuing to happen, because we're not just a cloud provider that can provide a Cloud Connect interface, although that's something that we certainly do a lot of. But we also take on more complex Veeam implementations across enterprises. We're working with some larger partners on larger implementations across multiple sites. We have our Veeam appliance model, where we deliver Veeam with hardware and software, all delivered on an appliance that we deliver and we provide as part of the service. So there's some things we're doing to make Veeam more accessible throughout the market, whether it's for small medium businesses all the way up to enterprises. and making that making that possible for people to take advantage of the technology wherever they are and at whatever size they are.
Yeah.
That certainly helped our growth. I guess the other big thing we're doing is like I said, touch on it, it's our people, right? We're expanding our team. We're adding people regularly. Even through the pandemic, we were trying to hire, and it was challenging, and we were to do that during the pandemic, but we were still doing that. We were still focusing on, getting our team certified. We've got a huge number of certified experts on Veeam's technology now. And so we're building skills within our team. We have a training program internally where everyone has sort of training goals and certification goals set for them. And so that way we can work closely with our team on developing the skills that they need to deliver on these complex engagements and deliver what the customers are looking for. And so I'm really happy about that. We've been able to continue to invest in our people and do that. And I'm really excited that we're focusing on delivering more as well. We're working on the and launching with the new Veeam competency program.
Yes.
So getting into the new Veeam competency program, we're one of the first providers to get on top of that. So we're really focused on achieving those new competency levels and making sure that that's something else that we've got both from a skills perspective and a delivery capability around Veeam's new programs.
Awesome. Well, I think what I'm picking up from this and just wrapping it up is I really think you guys are well set for what's coming in terms of the future. For us and for me personally, as data is changing, we're getting more into this modern data protection, modern application platform scenario where we've got this hybrid multi-cloud world, and the application is what's driving a lot of the placement of these workloads and of these data. So companies like you and our service providers have to be nimble enough to be able to adjust to where the customers are moving that data. And it sounds like you guys are really well set up for that. So it's a testament to you guys. StoragePipe is one of our best partners, not only in North America, but also in the world. So we really thank you for that. It's been a great chat. I think we got a really good insight into, what StoragePipe are doing, how they're doing it, how they've done in the last 12 to 18 months, come out the other side. I think the future is bright for you guys. So, hopefully with some of the releases that we have coming up over the next sort of 6 to sort of 12 months, you guys can jump on that as well and continue to shine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks, Anthony. I really appreciate chatting with you today. We are, we pride ourselves on being, the best partner we can be, and and we want to continue that strong relationship and continue to build with Veeam. We've been here. I wouldn't say from the beginning of Veeam, but pretty close. I think we were one of very early partner. We've grown with Veeam as Veeam has grown. We've grown, and we just see it as a great fit, both technologically, but also with the people. And we've had a very good rapport with the partnership teams, the marketing teams, the technology teams, the support teams at Veeam. So we've really engaged across the board with the organization, and we've really had a great experience. So we want that to continue. And yeah, we are totally excited about the next releases of the new products. And we're always looking at the new betas and the new products that come out. And as they're released, make sure we're on top of that and looking for customers that can take advantage of that. So it's been excellent. So thank you.
Great to hear. All right, Stephen, that was a great little interview, and good conversation. And hopefully the guys that are listening have learned a little bit about StoragePipe. And let's look for what you guys are doing in the future.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, hey, have a great day, and good evening to you.
No worries.
Yeah, have a great. Yeah, take care.